In Space Station 14, nuclear operatives and Syndicate agents may see fit to purchase firearms. You probably will be purchasing a firearm as a nuclear operative especially. Both operatives and agents have basically the same purchase options. There's a few minor differences for whatever reason. I don't really understand it, but I'm not going to get into that. We're going to start with the worst weapon in the game and the cheapest weapon in the game, the surplus rifle. The surplus rifle costs 1 telecrystal, and like every weapon, it will just be purchased directly in your hand. It has a fire rate of 0.8. It comes with 10 shots in its internal magazine. There's no +1 here. It is just a 10-shot bolt action rifle. It's technically semi-auto. It used to be bolt action. Bolt actions don't exist anymore. Whatever. So it's only a 0.8 fire rate. Each shot does 19 damage. It uses 30 rifle bullets. So we have a pretty lackluster, about 15.2 DPS. This gun is pretty awful. It is a perfectly straight shooter though, and since it is semi-auto, you can't just kind of sit here spam clicking as you fire. So it's cheap. It can't melee despite having a bayonet. I know people ask about this, but it's a very simple to use weapon. And if you wish to purchase ammunition for it, it's actually only 1 telecrystal for 50 bullets, and you can literally just left click the gun with the box of ammo. So yeah, it sucks, but you basically have unlimited ammo for no cost. But so like, I don't know. Most players, when they see you using a Mosin, they're just gonna run at you with a crowbar and beat you to death. But I have seen Mosin ops as a real thing where they buy reinforcements and give them like Mosins. So it'd be like 10 reinforcements with Mosins. And oddly enough, the 1776 revolutionary fucking line war does actually work in this game. I don't know why. But setting up in a 3-wide hallway with everyone shooting rifles down the hall at a steady pace is actually really good at pushing. Anyways, that's enough about the surplus rifle. Next, we have the Viper, 3 telecrystals. Small, easily concealable with somewhat underpowered gun, retrofitted with a fully automatic receiver. The pistol will come with the slide back, but there actually is an extra bullet in the chamber, so you actually are technically buying 10 plus 1. It has a fire rate of 6 shots a second. Each bullet only does 16 damage a shot, but the very high fire rate makes up for it. You can right-click it, hover over it, and change to full auto in order to swap to its full auto capabilities. Due to its 6 shots a second, it actually does 96 damage a second, but its small magazine will mean you only get about 160 damage per mag, plus 16 if you have the extra bullet in the chamber, but it's very, very accurate. Pretty much every bullet will fly perfectly straight, and the magazine is short enough that it will not have an accuracy problem. This thing is actually kind of like a pocket sniper. You can buy additional magazines in the ammo tab for only a single telecrystal. Pistol magazine with 10 cartridges compatible with the Viper. And it's just like any gun. Just left click to swap the mag in. You can left click to swap the mag in, alt click to take the mag out, whatever you want. You can hover over the gun and press E, or pick it up in your hand, press Z to bolt it. This isn't really a gun mechanic video. So with some decent muscle memory and keybinds, you can actually keep the killing going for quite some time. This is a very, very good purchase. 96 DPS is a great assassination tool. You're not going to take on all of security with just this pistol, but if you're fighting like one person, the 160 damage in a magazine, as long as they're not wearing like 50% piercing resistance armor, you will crit them. It's a very, very good one-and-done gun. Up next is the Cobra. Rugged, robust... Wow. Up next is the 4 telecrystal Cobra. Rugged, robust operator handgun with inbuilt silencer, uses pistol magazines. Each bullet does 19 damage a shot. It has a 4 bullets per second fire rate, giving it a 76 DPS. That means it actually has a higher damage per magazine than the Viper, 190 damage per mag versus 160. Slower fire rate, though, means you're going to have a harder time killing people. The major benefit of this gun is that it shoots caseless rifle bullets. Well, I think they used to be called caseless, whatever. They're actually just called caseless now. They used to be called rifle. It's interesting because the impacts are actually significantly louder than the gun itself, so that's what's going to give you ways whatever you're hitting. And you can buy additional magazines for only a single telecrystal, so you're actually getting more damage per magazine than the Viper, but you trade that off for stealth and better damage per mag, but worse DPS. So these are 2 very highly competitive options within their own category. And if you do fully empty the mag, you will have to put in a new mag, obviously, but you will have to actually press Z or hover over and press E to rack the slide. as you can hear, there's no visual animation that's not ready to fire, so you might have to just take an extra second to make sure you're ready to go. Up next is the Python. Brutally simple, effective, and loud Syndicate revolver. Comes loaded with armor-piercing rounds, uses 45 Magnum. The Python shoots 2 bullets a second. It's a revolver, so it has an internal cylinder. You can actually press Z to cycle through the bullets for whatever reason if you want to do that. I guess if you're somehow like dual loading bullets, you could use it for that reason. You can press Alt Z to eject all the bullets, and you could individually load each shot at a time. Each shot of armor piercing does 26 damage a shot, so it actually does 52 true damage a second, because armor piercing is essentially true damage. It ignores armor, it ignores shields. It is very powerful for that reason. The Python is rather expensive though. It's very loud, but it shoots perfectly straight. It's a very accurate gun. Basically, again, it's kind of like the pistols are all kind of like snipers. They're really, really accurate in this game. To purchase additional ammo, this is where the Python starts falling behind, and I think this makes it an unpopular option. It's only really good if you're using it against armor targets, and it has the most expensive ammo out of all the ammos that you can purchase. It's 3 telecrystals for only 6 more bullets. So you're spending 3 telecrystals for only 156 more potential damage. And every shot you miss with the Python's a pretty big deal. But with the Python, it's also a little hard to manage your ammo economy, because you have to sit there and picking through your shells if you want to actually save ammo. But if you don't really care about saving ammo, you can just use a speed loader, fill it up instantly, and then you can actually take your extra bullets and refill the cylinder, kind of like a magazine. The speed loader, sorry, not the cylinder itself. Kind of like an extra magazine. So it's expensive to get reloads. It's not very cost effective at killing targets. But if you're trying to assassinate somebody like the captain, or you're trying to fight like specifically security, it's pretty good for that reason. Nukies typically just kind of purchase primaries that do more versatility. Nukies I don't really ever see use pistols. I don't know if I've ever seen a Nuki use a Python ever. Syndicates, I do see it sometimes, but typically only if you see surpluses. I think this gun's kind of in a weird state. It offers worse damage per mag than every other gun, but it does true damage, so in certain circumstances, it does more damage per mag than the other pistols. Very, very niche. It's very expensive to use. Missing 1 or 2 bullets can put you out of crit range, because you have to land 4 shots to crit. So if you miss 3 shots, you're screwed. So it's just really high risk, high reward, expensive option. Very niche. For 12 Terror Crystals, we could purchase a Sniper Bundle. Inconspicuous briefcase that contains a Hristov and 10 extra bullets. I'm not going to go over the rest of the stuff in here. We're interested in the bullets and the Hristov itself. The Hristov is a pretty massive weapon. The pistols are all like this weird, like triangle. The pistols are all like a weird Tetris shape. Hristovs are a 4x4, so it's very hard to conceal this. It's a gigantic weapon. The damage on the anti-material rifle is kind of laughably bad. It only does 40 piercing, but it does structural. But it only shoots 0.8 shots a second, so it only has 32 DPS. It has a 5-shot internal magazine, so you do actually get a decent bit of total damage. You get 600 damage total, because each 5 shots is 200 damage. You get 5 in the gun and 10 additional. So for 12 telecrystals, it's like not the worst damage overall. It's pretty on par with total damage with the pistols, but the DPS is terrible. The structure damage is pretty irrelevant, but it's accurate. But it's despite the fact that it's called anti-material bullets, it is not armor piercing. I have never seen this weapon used without it being used out of a surplus crate. The stats are just not there. 32 DPS is garbage. The fact that missing 1 bullet cuts your damage per magazine, like your total damage, just by literal fractions. There's only 5 shots. No armor piercing means that a sec officer could tank almost all 5 shots if you land every shot. It's just not. There's really nothing going for the anti-material rifle. I'm not trying to put too much opinion in this, but like this gun is just, it's not good. Up next is the C20 bundle. Costs 17 telecrystal, classic C20 submachine gun, bundled with 3 magazines. The C20 is a very, very interesting gun. It has a few unique mechanics, on top of the fact that you can't really see the bolt because it's a bullpup. It's not like a It's not like a pistol, obviously. I'm not going to go over gun mechanics too much either. Each bullet does 16 damage piercing. It's the same as the Viper, so that's something worth considering. It has an insane It has an insane fire rate of 8 bullets a second, which gives it a DPS of 128 damage a second if you land every bullet, of course. That's 480 damage a magazine, 496 if you include the one in the chamber. So the whole bundle itself actually has 1440 potential damage if you land every single bullet. It's a very cost-effective powerhouse. Obviously, Nukies can afford this a lot easier. For a Syndicate, that's basically all of your telecrystals, but not all of them. The gun is rather accurate in its first few shots, but it becomes quickly inaccurate after 4 or 5 shots. So even though it does have an 8 bullets per second, landing all 8 at medium range is not going to happen. I'll shoot any route burst here. And actually, they all did land. I guess at this range, it really isn't that big of a deal, but if you hold it for too long, you start seeing the bullets start going off direction, off course. But it's not inaccurate enough that it's something to be concerned about. What's really cool about the C20 is that once you empty its magazine, it will play a very loud beeping sound that lets everyone know you're out of ammo, but it does automatically eject the mag, which is very useful because it means you can just load the gun, press C, and keep firing. It has very low, very low downtime. It's practically always in battery, ready to fire. It is only a 2x4 in the inventory as well, so it's rather convenient to carry on you. What Nukies often do is they take the gun and they'll put it on their suit slot instead of because Nukies spawn with double oxygen tanks, so that's they last a long time. So you just keep on your you keep it on your suit slot, and you just anytime you're ready to shoot somebody, just click a button. It's rather than having to fumble through your inventory at all times. The C20 is a powerhouse, and this is where there's a difference. For some weird-ass reason, only Nukies can buy the SMG magazine. So for 2 telecrystals, you can get 30 more bullets, 400, 400, quick math, 480 damage a mag. Or you can buy individual magazines as a Syndicate to reload at least one magazine, because the Viper bullets are the same as the C20, 35 auto. I mean, you can even see in the description that's 35 auto. So you could, as a Syndicate, have a worse telecrystal trade to fill a magazine, so you could actually technically have 4 full magazines as a Syndicate if you decide to just purchase 3 more pistol mags for it. Nukies could just purchase this. There is also the ammo bundle, but I'm not going to cover that because it's just ammo. The ammo bundle does come with 4 C20 mags, 4 drums for the Bulldog, and 2 boxes for the L6 Saw. For only 15 telecrystals, this is a really solid purchase for Nukies. But anyways, we're going to move on to the Bulldog bundle. Bulldog bundle is 20 telecrystals, lean and mean, contains a popular Bulldog shotgun, 12-gauge beanbag drum, and 3 12-gauge buckshot drums. The Bulldog is probably one of the most popular weapon choices in the game. You actually can't buy additional ammo for it at all unless you're getting a ammo bundle. So I mean, Syndicates just have to steal the ammo or like hack an auto lathe, which you are probably not going to be able to afford both, or break into the security tech fab, or have an ammo fabricator for your salvage, because salvage gets those. But the Bulldog itself is a 2 fire rate shotgun. Each shotgun shell does per pellet. There are 6 pellets per buckshot. So that means you have 120 DPS if all pellets land, and that's 480 damage total per mag, which is identical to the C20, which is why these are very competitive. The Bulldog does cost a little more, but the Bulldog's a little bit easier to use, because just like the C20, you can just put it on your suit slot. It's pretty easy to carry. It's only a 2x4, which Nukies don't really have issue with storage. I mean, the 2x4 is easy to fit in anything. You can put that in a satchel. And the Bulldog is actually rather accurate. For shotguns, this game actually has really low spread on shotguns. At this range, only 2 of the pellets missed, which, if you're shooting out a hallway, you're probably going to end up hitting more people anyway. But the C20 is also inaccurate, so overall, you're probably going to be doing about the same damage if you just sit here and spray it at a target. It has a very even spread, and the reason why people like shotguns is they're very consistent. They don't have like a real recoil stat. They just kind of shoot the same spread of buckshot every time. It's obviously a point blank. You would crit any unarmored person in 1 second because of its DPS. The C20 would too, but the C20 requires more consistent firing, and you use more of the magazine to do that. The Bulldog does have the potential of doing more damage to more targets, where the C20 is just harder to do that because it's just low damage per shot. The nice thing about the Bulldog as well is that using these drum mags, you can actually just keep the drum mags on you. And since it is a drum mag shotgun, it's really easy to just always have the gun, at least with some bullets. Because, like, if I have two somewhat empty drum mags, it's really easy to just fill up the mags with each other. Because, I mean, imagine if you're trying to fill up a C20 mag, you have to fill it up 30 times. An empty drum mag, you only have to fill it up 8 times, so you have more uptime with keeping your mags up to date. There's no auto eject feature like the C20, so you might have less time actually firing, but it's easier to keep your magazines topped off. So that's kind of the trade-off. But yeah, again, you can't buy individual magazines as a Nuki or a Syndicate for the Bulldog. I feel like that's an easy PR. I don't know why the C20 gets treated differently. It's cheaper and easier to get more ammo for. It doesn't really make sense to me. Plus, the Bulldog and shotguns in general got nerfed pretty hard. It does come with a beanbag, but it takes 3 shots at the beanbag to stam crit somebody now instead of 2. So it's really not worth going for it. And as a Nuki, maybe you can use it as like a last resort. I mean, the beanbags do 10 blunt damage a shot, so there's opportunity cost there for sure. But the Bulldog and C20 are very, very similar in the roles they fill. They literally have the same damage per magazine. It's up to you if you want to get closer, more personal, and do more reliable damage with the Bulldog, which most firefights in this game are within 5 or 6 tiles. So the Bulldog kind of does shine there. But the C20 has slightly higher DPS. You can get magazines for it a little bit easier as of right now. It's also a little bit more versatile because you can just kind of burst fire it, where the Bulldog, you lose 1/8 of your magazine every time you shoot. Anyways, enough rambling on. I dropped the stats. We move on to the final gun in the game. The L6 Saw bundle. 30 telecrystals, more DACA. The iconic L6 light machine gun bundled with 2 box magazines. I'm not including the China Lake because, yes, it is a gun, but it doesn't follow the same logic. I mean, it doesn't shoot bullets, it shoots grenades. The damage is really hard to calculate on it. There's big boom, little boom, but go buy the L6 Saw. The L6 Saw is a 4x4, which really isn't all that big considering how much damage you get with this thing. The L6 Saw is kind of a niche gun. It's very good, but it costs a lot. You can't put it on your suit storage, so you lose a little bit of quick use with it. You do have to backpack it. The nice thing about the L6 Saw, it does 8 shots a second. Each bullet does 19 damage. It does 152 DPS, which makes it the highest DPS firearm in the game. Each box magazine has 100 bullets. There are 2 box magazines in the bundle, so you actually have 3,800 damage for 30 telecrystals, plus 1, so you have 3819. The L6 Saw, you can be fired one-handed, but you should never do this. It is stupidly inaccurate if you use it one-handed. You would probably use your entire box magazine to actually crit a target standing still. I would highly recommend that you press Z and use both hands on the L6 Saw. Even in this state, it's still pretty inaccurate, but due to its really high damage, high magazine capacity, and high fire rate, you're gonna end up hitting most of your shots anyway. It's a pretty great medium range option. But yeah, using this thing one-handed is pointless. You need to use 2 hands to fire it. So that gives some obvious disadvantages. You lose an offhand, so you can't have a shield, you can't have a sword, you won't have a melee weapon ready. You have to take time wielding it and unwielding it, which can get cumbersome, and during the heat of combat, you can absolutely make a mistake and like unwield it or drop it. I mean, things happen. Another downside of the L6 Saw is that there's no real easy way of getting ammo unless you buy the ammo bundle, or I have seen people do this. You can buy the 50 cartridges for 1 telecrystal and painfully load an entire magazine for really cheap. Guess this is an unfortunate consequence of multiple guns using the same caliber and having weird purchases like that. If you really want, you can basically have unlimited ammo with L6 Saw. Like I said, I have frequently seen people do this. It's a good tactic. It's boring. Like watching somebody as a ghost load 100 bullets into a magazine is pretty tiring. I feel like the magazine should probably just be purchasable rather than forcing people to do things like this, or at least give a economy option. I mean, the C20 has it now. The C20, you could buy the magazine as a Nuki for cheaper than loading them in mags individually, which people also used to do. But again, that's enough opinion piece. So The L6 Saw is by far the most damage total per telecrystal. Has the highest DPS, most damage per magazine. It's just the best gun in the game, but it's not the most versatile gun in the game. There are just situations and times where this gun is not all that good. Lizards actually do have an increased benefit with this. You can still drag things as a lizard with this in wielded because they have the tail. But the L6 Saw basically can't be used in space unless you have the backpack on your back, or unless you have your jetpack on your back or you're using mag boots to fly, which Bloodred mag boots are really great for this. But I need to stop getting off topic. That's every single gun in the game for syndicates and nukies. There is the Python and the zombie bundle, but that's not. Nobody's buying this zombie bundle for the Python. Hope this gives you some more informed decisions of which guns to purchase in the future. I know this is extremely long-winded, but that's just kind of my thing at this point, is over-explaining things. Thank you for watching.